So that's good. We were trying to decide whether we would do it for Rob and Ron or whether we would just go home.
It brought us back to our theater days when Rita was doing Tomatoes on a Windowsill before it became so wildly popular. And we stood there it landed on the night of the Academy Awards, and we lived in Hollywood. So we have our beautiful lighting woman back there, and I'm the director, and she's standing on stage, and there's nobody there, literally no one.
All my relatives were there.
And I said, so what? So what? And I go, we're going on. And then the girl looked at me and she goes, really? And I go, yeah, actually we are. And so I sat there and she goes, okay, we are, let's go. And we did the entire show, and every spirit in town was there. Oh, so welcome everyone. How are you? Welcome back from Alaska. It's good to see you. Yeah. So we're very excited about this wonderful, how ironic that I would have this little one. So what's your ME? But before we get into that, we have a couple of announcements, and I do mean a couple. We have Wallace Waddles, our new thought guy from 1860 to, I think he passed away in 1911. So he was pre-Napoleon Hill. So we're doing our meet and greet next Tuesday. And that is from 6:30 to 8. And then we also have our new thought, and there's also a book, The Science of Getting Rich, that has 9 different covers, because that's what you do. If something's not selling really well, you just change the covers of it. But next Friday, and it was very successful, sold millions, the guy. And next Friday, we're having our spiritual cinema, and we're having something very fun and very short. If anybody knows me, they know that 2-hour and something movies are not my favorite, but, you know, in this day and age, that's pretty much what they are. But it's called Miracle with, what's his name? Darren Brown. It was recommended by Dr. Peggy, and it's fascinating. He's an illusionist, and he's got a wonderful hour and 13 minutes that is called Faith or Fiction. And that's his whole thing. So pretty dynamic. We kind of went back and forth. Is this really something? But I think it really is. I think it'll really make us see the power of belief and the power of the placebo effect on things. So anyway, it'll be very exciting. And that is at 6:30 next Friday. So with that being said, yes. For your son? Yes, we bought a couple tickets. If we had known that you were doing it, we would have went searching for them. But you can. Because our granddaughter's going to it as well. As a matter of fact, he's got 5 left. And Sue will go. And so yeah, our granddaughter's going to be in, so we're going to go.
We heard the kids sing. They're so good.
Oh my God.
They were down at Kaua'i Grove.
Good.
Oh my God. They were like their voices, and they're young.
Oh, and the thing is that they're good for any of the nights, so that's it's good. So, see, going once, going twice. We got 2 more tickets going in.
We want to support our little.
There we go. So, with that being said, you're welcome, Umberto. Because we have a strict
it's
policy.
It's your mental equivalent.
Hey, we've got a strict policy. You know we don't do advertisements besides to look at it.
Yeah, but he's one of our youth.
He is.
Not Umberto, but...
So with all that excitement, I'd like to just advertise the Alaskan cruise. They'll be coming in 2 minutes. No. So let's just take a moment with all this wonderful energy to just settle into this wonderful, peaceful place that we call now. Oh, let's just breathe into it. Let's just land. Everything that has happened before has been absolutely perfect, but it has happened before. And this is the moment, the only moment that counts right here, right now. And what I know is that everyone in this room is that divine presence, because I know that for myself, that I am that divine presence of spirit that is moving through me and as me and through each person in this room. And that wonderful camera live stream that I think is happening as well. And so I just bless this evening knowing that it just transpires in just a wonderous way. that everything that needs to be said will be said, everything that needs to be known will be known, and whatever needs to be healed will be healed, because there is no time in the mind of good. So let's have at it tonight. Let's just open ourselves wide and allow that, that spirit to intuit right through and as us, as it always does. And what I know for each and every one of us, that we are vibrating at the frequency of the divine. So we are totally open to receive, open to give. So with that, I just release it to the law of my being, knowing that it already has said yes, of course, yes. And release it, we let it go, as together we affirm. And so it is. Yes.
Okay. So, what is your ME? Whatever you're living is your ME. So, Emmett Fox said, supply yourself with a mental equivalent and the thing must come to you. And does everybody here know who Emmett Fox is? I'm not going to really do his biography, but does everybody, is there somebody that doesn't know at all who he is?
And Deb is right here with
Deb and Sarongs, yeah. Sarongs, yeah. Anyway, he is a powerful presence in the New Thought movement, and I learned something when I read about him that I thought was that I had never known before, and that was that during the Holocaust, that they actually took all the New Thought books, Hitler did, took all the New Thought books, and anybody associated with New Thought, and burnt the books and threw them into concentration camps along with everybody else. Did you know that, Reverend Diane? No, it didn't happen to him, but that was kind of when he was starting his thing, I know, I didn't know that either, and what's interesting about that is it kind of explained to me why things maybe stopped a little bit and didn't grow as fast until recently. It's starting to come back again, New Thought, in the last, few decades, but since Ernest Holmes, but I thought that was really,
and
anyway.
they also had a list.
Well, it was
a full list of everything. If you saw it, you were to destroy it. It was to leave history. That's how frightened they were of that information. That I was saying that this little book, this pockets that we would have been all taken out tonight, all because of this tiny little book.
It was all about thought control, obviously, right? So anyway, but we don't have to worry about that tonight. We are going to be in the present moment. I just thought I'd throw that in, though, just to realize how special this whole thing is. So anyway, so when we use the word mental equivalent, where's our little thing?
Clicker?
Yeah, clicker. What does it bring up for you? Like, what do you think? That's interesting. Why is it not clicking? Well, it's okay. I can do it. It's not working. That's where it was working before we came. Hold on a second. If it doesn't, we got all our notes in front of us, so we don't have to worry about it.
But you can change it without the clicker.
But I don't understand why it wouldn't.
It doesn't matter. Let's move on.
Okay, we're going to move on.
Battery is probably the...
Yeah, I should be able to do it from
It
here.
is.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just do it from there. Okay, so when we bring up the word mental equivalent, what does it mean to you? Have you, back there?
To think is to create.
To think is to create. Okay.
We're going to pass this around too, like we always do.
Yeah.
So mental equivalent, we say, what's your, yes?
Whatever you are seeing outside of you is what you're thinking inside of you.
Good. Anyone
Any other
else?
thoughts?
Sue?
The word out-picturing came to me. So what I think about or what I focus on is what shows up.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes,
Anyone
all of
else?
these are good. So,
Show me the little thing and I'll be able to, is it right here? Oh, good.
okay, so for everything form thing in this universe, there is a mental equivalent. So this is all Emmett Fox. So according to Emmett Fox and other people, not just him, Ernest Holmes also, that there can't be anything formed that doesn't have a mental equivalent. Mental equivalents are simply the mental images or mental versions of our desires. They are the thoughts and images from which we build our desires. So everything starts with a mental equivalent. For everything you wish to create for yourself, there is a mental equivalent. How does that feel to you?
Do you believe that?
Do you believe it? Yes? Everybody's so quiet.
We want to believe it?
Yes, Diane, thank you.
The term mental equivalent I find awkward and old-fashioned, but the way he describes it feels like if you're seeing a new car in your driveway, you had a mental equivalent of that. But I'm assuming that we're going to talk about how you get to that mental equivalent,
Exactly.
yes, to, put that before, what you want to create. So I think of it as having an idea in mind of what it is you want to have in your life. Not necessarily all the details, but it could have details and see those show up.
Yeah, the one thing that we were discussing, it's cause and effect. It's everything that we believe in science of mind and spirit. And that's the whole thing. I know that mental equivalent, for me, we were just talking before everyone came. I said, when we know this, that what out pictures is what's going on inside. First, it just makes me laugh sometimes because I go, okay, so we're not talking about the ignorance of people who've never even heard of it. We're talking about we do know that this has an incredible power, but it's how to build that mental equivalent, that consciousness that we're really talking about here.
We were all waiting for you to show up back there. Nobody was here. And we went, wow, okay, we're teaching a class on the mental equivalent. We have to take responsibility for who's showing up. Not you individual people, but the amount of people showing up. We obviously have a mental equivalent for the 7 people who are sitting here. If we had a bigger mental equivalent, then this whole place would be packed. So I take full responsibility for my mental equivalent. So,
But we need to,
yes, I do. Yeah, I do. You don't have to, but I do.
I don't take responsibility for you
No.
at all. That would be very tiring. I tried to do it for about 45 years of my life. And but what I do know is that unless we take responsibility for what's going on out there in our lives, then we have no power. Tonight we really want to get real with it in a way that's not maybe as, playing the beautiful songs that go with new thoughts sometimes, but the quicker that I can, and what happens with everyone is I can see it, even in a few of us sitting here, you go to that place of what did I do wrong, bad boy, bad girl, and I can feel it in everybody, in myself too, it goes there immediately. Okay, so what you're saying is that I created this and I did, and that's so old. Speaking of old, mental equivalent, that thought is so old
Also,
and so boring.
You're putting
that I
bad
can't
and
even
good
tell
on it.
you. Yeah.
When it just is. It doesn't mean this class would be any better if this place was packed. It's still going to be a fantastic class because we're teaching it. But I'm just stating just that. My mental equivalent, obviously, if I want to, I can expand it. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It doesn't mean it's a good thing. It just is. Do I want to expand it? Do I like the intimacy of a small group so much that,
Right,
So
exactly.
it doesn't really matter. It's not like saying it's bad or it's good. It's just saying that it is, and I have to take responsibility for what shows up in my life. That's my belief system.
And do better marketing, and do a whole bunch of other things that go with that. But what we're saying is that if you were sitting there tonight, and then we said, oh my God, it's because, what kind of people are, we have an entire 90 people on a Sunday, and nobody comes here on and we go into that. Do you feel that? Do you feel that? Oh yeah, they're just Sunday people, blah, 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 blah. Do you see the victimized thing? Instead of going in there and saying, tonight is exactly the way it's supposed to be. Tonight is perfect. Tonight is perfect. But we don't always do that.
No, because usually we go into that blame game or thinking something's wrong. When
What
that's
I do
not
wrong, I
necessarily
do
true.
during
It looks like you want to
the
say something. No, okay.
So a victim has to go into it.
Yeah, I've been getting this a lot lately because I've been reading some different things on the internet from different church leaders and stuff, that we're in this blame game, like when something is in our life, that we're going into the shame thing. And it's not about that. It's just about how do we want, how do we want to be in the moment? How do we want to live what we're living right now and make it, and expand and make it better if we want to, or better, I don't even like the word better, just expand, or have more of this or more of that, or whatever it is, without blaming ourselves and saying that it's wrong where we are right now. And maybe we're very perfectly content, like I said, and that's perfect too. But it's the idea of taking responsibility for it. In a,
And yet you would really be good because you just tapped into the building blocks of the universe.
yes, you could. No, what I'm saying, you don't have to be in the science of mind and spirit or even understand this concept to demonstrate it, because there's people in the world that are demonstrating just wonderful, amazing, big things that
Aren't sitting
that
here.
aren't sitting in this room.
And
But they
here's-
have a mental equivalent for it.
And let's go to the Schmo thing for just 5 seconds. No, and I want to do that because law of cause and effect isn't for the good people. Law of cause and effect is a law. Is a law. So everybody gets to use it. And unfortunately, sometimes I think people are not using it. What I say is in the highest place for us. But do you see, you don't get to have, this is what God, we're already hearing it, starting so soon. It doesn't, we don't get to, it doesn't get to be sometimes this and sometimes that. It either is or it isn't for me personally and this philosophy.
Well, I was expressing
Yeah.
Right, that's what I mean.
because even while I recognize that Hitler was a very good practitioner,
For a while.
For a while.
But there was also something that says we can't use the law destructively. Eventually, it will destruct against us because it's life-giving law. But yeah, no.
about the universe that
Right.
That's it.
the law is in effect, and you generate it regardless.
Right.
So that's why we have love and law. That's our saving grace for me. Because love is the powerful force that moves through everything, as everything. And as you talk about that, I become vibrating right now at the frequency of the divine. The law is only a tool in which we get to use that. To me, the law is a gift. Law of cause and effect is a gift. I get to take the law and move it, direct it. But my love is the guiding force.
Plus,
Yeah.
it's a matter of spiritual evolution, too. Everybody's in a different spot. Everybody's in a different place. Everybody needs different things in their lives, whatever that is. I can't step back far enough to know what's going on for somebody or why they are where they are in their life. I can only assist if they want to be, assisted. But I believe there is a process to all this and a spiritual evolution to it. That's why we have to get out of the blame game and go to the love. And when somebody comes to us and they have an issue in their life, we don't sit there and go, "What's your mental equivalent? What were you thinking?" No, we love them and we open up to that love and help them to love themselves. Because that's going to expand your energy as love. So.
And moving on just
yeah.
with that, we also, where I'm at in this whole evolution, is we also have to stop candy coating it and also apologizing for the law of cause and effect. That's where I'm at with it. Because I already know the power of love. Nobody knows it more than myself. I believe it. I live it to the best of my ability. But I'm not going to apologize anymore. I'm going to lovingly assist in my sessions and in my work as a minister. Love. But I'm also not going to let us off the hook for me that we get to say sometimes it sucks and sometimes it doesn't, and that was happenstance. That was it just happened random. I will not personally live in a random universe. It's too freaking scary for me to think that I can be walking around at any moment and randomly get sick or randomly this or randomly be in an accident. That's frightening. But I also know that love and compassion is where we are headed, and especially in this new thought. That's why people are staying away from it a lot, because they're blaming themselves for things that are happening in their lives instead of actually loving themselves through it. And it's all loving each other through it. Thank you. So, we got fire in the house tonight. Right, Deb?
Right, Deb?
Do you feel that fire?
Do you feel that fire?
Okay, except she's got the clicker, so there's not much we can.
there's not much.
This is like living room
This is
stuff.
like living room stuff.
Give me the TV guy.
Give me the
Yes.
TV guy. Yes.
While you're waiting,
Yeah.
during the closet, one of the realizations I had over the last week or so is that like what we're talking about when things go
Mm-hmm.
is like the unconscious.
Oh.
You're talking about the world right now?
Talking about the world
The
right
things
now.
happening in the world?
Things
All of
happening
it.
in the world.
Yeah, because we live, well, he says,
Yeah,
oh, go
I'm
ahead.
thinking of it, you know, personally, because I'm working with it personally. Because although things have gone like average okay, you know, for me over time and pretty good a lot of times, I also find that there are counterfacts in my thinking, you know, back in there that you know must have some effect. So that's what I'm rooting out. So that's what I'm realizing is, you know, like behind some of the funky stuff.
Yeah, well, it's just taking responsibility for it. It's not, you know, how responsibility and blame got in the same kind of definition, it blows me away. Because it's really, responsibility is just going, wow, I know a lot of people are going through some incredible, what we call dis-ease right now. And they are probably one of the, one that's coming to mind, probably one of the most powerful people I have ever read. And is going through a very difficult time. But I can't tell you how powerful and loving and life-affirming it is. So if that's something to judge as not good, I don't know how that could be, because it's the most powerful thing that I've been experiencing with these individuals, and we know several of them. But you know what I mean? And they've, you know, it might be from a judgment point of view, oh my God, what's going on? But there's something really bigger than anything that we could possibly say going on here. So you have the clicker, so let's put the clicker in so we can share that clicker. So we just
Fighting over the remote. We don't do that. We don't watch enough TV.
we don't have a remote.
Okay, you're doing it.
So anyway, we're going to just go through this. We're going to take a minute with it.
Take a minute with it, and
Can
then
you
we're gonna go through it out loud, but just take a moment with it, just so you're familiar with it.
So first thing that comes to your mind.
First thing that comes to your mind, type thing.
Just a minute. Okay, so we're just going to start to kind of go through it out loud, because you can take this home with you and work on it if you want to. But first of all, I just wanted to backtrack for a minute. Everybody read this book? Yeah, we've all read it. If you haven't, please make sure you get a copy. It's only $2, and it's really worth it. Those of us that it will change your life. But he is very direct. A lot of those guys back then were very direct. Raymond Charles Barker, and they don't like
Wallace
mince words.
Waddle.
Wallace Waddle,
God.
very, very direct. You know, they don't worry about hurting people's feelings or any of that. They just say, and you'll see as we go on in here. So, you
I think we
know,
learned
know what we're
balance
dealing
as
with.
life went on.
We're, yeah. So, but then they were people that demonstrated these things in their life too, so they wouldn't have done that if they couldn't prove it themselves. So, do you believe that we live in a mental universe? Really, like just honestly.
And what does it mean to you to live in a
What does
mental?
it
Is it
mean?
better?
Yeah.
For me, the word mental universe is a little old. And would that be compatible with saying, do you believe that we live in a spiritual universe? Would that be saying the same thing as opposed to physical and mental? I'm not sure how all that fits together.
The term mental, we use the term that things begin with our thoughts. And even deeper than that, things begin with our beliefs and our thoughts that are filled with feelings. So that it's not the opposite. When he's using the term, he's saying a lot of people look at life from the material world, and then they try to change the material world when it started as a mental concept. So, and another thing to remember is, the way I understand this is that we don't think up like that this is going to happen or that's going to happen or we're going to get this disease or whatever. What happens is we start to think. We have stresses in our life. We buy into race consciousness because that's what we're born into, and that's the masses are believing whatever it is, and so we fall into those habits of thought. But yes, he's saying that it's our thoughts. It's spiritual. Yes, it is spiritual. There's a spiritual universe and form. Spirit and form. We're going to go into that, or one thing, but that it starts with the thought. It starts with the mental. So he's using the word in that, more in consciousness, like it's consciousness. It's starting in consciousness. I always like to use consciousness because otherwise it sounds brainy.
I want to ask a real quick question to Sue. So if that's what I'm going to ask, actually Diane as well. So if that's an old concept, there's another person that really doesn't like the word law. So if that's an old concept, what is the word that you would use?
What word would resonate with my brain better than mental?
Like spiritual would probably resonate most. And thought.
and thought.
I'm just curious because when we put old, because a lot of people put even our teachings as that's old and let's get in with the new. But my thing now is I'm asking more questions to people like, so if that's an old concept, what's a new one?
And maybe it's not an old concept. I just
for
a long time subjectivity and objectivity.
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like law.
Yeah,
the law feels so cold.
But I wonder if we said if we live in a universe that was created by our thinking, if that would resonate with me better.
Or spiritual. Yeah.
Well, whatever's going to assist you.
Yeah.
So whatever word you need, because words are
right?
important. I mean, what we use as words, affirmations, it's important to us. If we have things that we don't feel, then what's the
Or
point?
responsibility, people go blame. They don't go, oh, how powerful being responsible for yourself can be. Because they'll go, oh, you mean I have to take blame? No power. Go ahead.
Well, Michael Pollan is one of my favorite authors, and he's a research journalist. And he writes for the New York Times a lot, and for their Sunday big articles and stuff. And my husband and I really got into him from the food aspect and the microbiome and all this stuff. Well, he's 60 years old, and just recently, he wrote his most recent book is called How to Change Your Mind. And what I found really interesting in that book is, he's researched consciousness, and he is going it has a lot to do with altered states of consciousness, but the main consciousness that the scientific world believes that we have currently. And I would love for you guys to read the book and see if you guys, it means the same to you, but to me, what he's saying is that what we bring in from our senses. So when we say, I know this chair is real because I can see it and I can feel it, and those kind of things. But that what's really happening in our consciousness is that there's a whole lot of filling in the gaps that make it real for us, and that this, so to me, that this part of the brain that I can't even remember now the letters that they use for it exactly, but this part of the brain makes that it is a mental universe. If we didn't have consciousness, we wouldn't be even seeing the chair. We wouldn't be, we wouldn't be able to create the chair in any form of reality. So
That's really good.
That is true. And if we look at these people, Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden, these people that I'm starting to study now, they do use the term mental, they do use the term thought, they do use the term brain, and they're proving it scientifically that, you were just at a conference, right? They're proving it scientifically that the way people are thinking is what their reality is, and if they can rewire their thinking, which is what we do with spiritual mind treatment and embracing these concepts and meditating and all that, and they're doing that now too in a different way, but they're doing the same thing, that it is. They're proving all this now.
And we have slowed our energy enough down, and we were just reading that today. We've slowed it enough down that we could be in this room tonight, because we're only energy. And so because of evolution or whatever, we've slowed it down just enough that we can have a conversation. Because if not, we would be, it just I can't even put words to it, the feeling that goes behind that step.
I was just going to say, recently when, because I'm studying Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden as well, and they're having a whole bunch of new information out. It's very exciting to me. They make a distinction between brain and your mind, which people interchange those, but it's really important because brain is the physical computer piece, and the mind are our thoughts and beliefs and filling in the gaps and all of that. So I don't know, it was a helpful distinction for me, because it makes mind and mental even more important.
Right, because the computer is the great thing. I remember I wrote 25 years ago, 30 years ago, when I was learning the computer, this God versus the computer versus God, and how they turned the computer into God, and how the brain, I was thinking, well, that's wonderful, because we want to know that we have the power right here, but actually the computer is being fed in from the universal mind, which is not contained inside of us. That's the information that's coming in, so that we can actually relay it to one another. Fascinating. Who knew this kid from Richmond, California would even think this way 30 years later? Do you believe your life is a reflection of your thoughts and beliefs? Yeah. So the question would be then, and I've had it many times, probably in today. So when we believe that was the big discussion that Rita and I had today, all day actually, on and off. So we believe that. So when the reflection comes up and we're going, like I said today, holy wow, hello, really? Okay. So when we believe it, so then we must also believe the opposite, that we can turn it around. Is that true? If you believe that your life is a reflection of your thoughts, what happens when something shows up that you don't like? What goes on then? Just in the thought process is what I think. Just curious.
You're not really. It depends on what you're conscious of, because I realize that this whole balance that could go one way or another, if there's conscious awareness happening, then that's the safety mechanism, because good comes to you through your service, through your thoughts, through wanting more for yourself and other people. And, so that's like, there's a safety mechanism to this whole thing.
I never heard of I like the idea of a safety mechanism, because that's what I call the law. That I have a law that always says yes, so that's my safety mechanism, that when I'm looking at that and I'm going, ooh, or I get caught in the story and I want to change the story, that I go, oh, okay, I have to change the story, because I believe that life is a reflection of my thoughts and beliefs. So guess what we get to do? Believe something new when we don't like that. Is that how you see it, or is there, yes, sir?
In the 12-step programs, there's a metaphor they use about putting on a different pair of glasses. So if something shows up that, I don't want that in my life, you change your glasses, which means you change your thoughts. And maybe the object or the thing that happened may not be, maybe we can't change that, but we can change how we look at it.
And that's where the change begins, is by us reframing it and looking at it differently, instead of pushing it away, because if you try to push it away, that doesn't work at all.
The reframing is so important. Don't you think the reframing, I don't think it's had enough attention that it can have, at least I've been using it a lot.
You were asking about what happens when something shows up that you weren't expecting or don't like, and there's so much going on in our mental universe that we're not consciously aware of, and it's always, when I experience something that is not what I desire. First, I recognize that this is not what I want to, what I want to be experiencing, and then I can't always ferret out what it is that is causing this to come up in my life, and I really don't necessarily have to. But knowing that there are subconscious things going on in my life, I work on what is conscious even more to bring about what I would prefer to have in my life.
Yeah, that's what they call spiritual maturity. You get to a point where you go, okay, I don't like that, and this isn't happening. And you're right, there's a lot of stuff going on. We've called it before, where we said we walk into a room and you can cut the energy with a knife or whatever. That's an atmosphere that we're living in too, that if we're breathing in and taking it in and not being conscious, then that will appear. Thank you so much.
This is all great. So what do you believe, and you don't have to answer out loud if you don't want to, but any ahas you might have had, what do you believe you are equal to currently in the following areas? And we just picked the four corners, finances, creativity, or career, whatever you want to call it, health, and relationships.
So just any ahas in the financial, where you are currently in the following areas? Yeah.
Well, I was very excited about all the areas, and then I got down to relationships, and my theme song here. And I do have loving, intimate relationships. What I don't have is still my beloved male partner. But my aha is around really because he's not shown up. So what I keep doing is rooting out and looking at, going deeper and deeper, like, okay, and so what other beliefs do I have about men, and what other beliefs do I have about having a partner, and what other, and it's like I was going to say gold mine, but it's just like there's always there's a lot of beliefs that are under that are underneath it, and so I keep looking, and so this small example. I was introduced to this man, and it looked like we, were attracted to one another, and then I saw him again, and it looked like we were even more attracted to one another. I'm getting excited, and then I emailed him and didn't hear back, and I was disappointed. And then I looked and I said, so what about this? What about this? And I have an underlying belief, this is embarrassing but true, this underlying belief that he's not badass enough for me. He's not, I was recently called a badass. I'm like, yeah, I really am. And it's just like, he's not my badass equivalent. I don't know what else to say.
And you see, now that's not an old term. That's a new way. There we go, badass. This is badass spirituality.
I want to say something about this, though, because this is like, it's starting to show up. So I call that signs of land, like you're starting to demonstrate. And so if we can look at it, that was a demonstration, oh my God, he's close, because I'm starting, it's signs of land. I mean, that wasn't happening before, right? So instead of saying, oh, well, he doesn't shown up yet, so, you know,
I learned something
and you learn something about yourself. So, and that's good. And because maybe before you would have like done something totally different and gone down this road over here and then didn't realize that. So it's wonderful.
And we were just talking about that too. Not only are we digging it up, this is the most important thing, because who was it that you said we were like suppressing over? Right.
We're suppressing the negative thoughts, but I don't believe
But
true.
that's not, because what you're doing is you're bringing them up. But as long as you're bringing them up, it's still remembering how wonderful and dynamic that Deb is, and how badass you are. That while you're digging and you're doing that, you're not just like digging and getting in and going. No, you're just digging them up, getting them out, and in the meantime, remembering what you truly want. And that is the most important, because a lot of times we go digging, and then we forget. Oh, by the way, this is what I really want. And so we get into the digging, yes.
You know, one of the things that's wonderful about our philosophy is that it changes and evolves as you grow to a new place. Then you see a different view and you go, oh, but I really, now I have this and I really want, you know, to express it. So maybe it's intimate, loving, and badass. Maybe that's the mental equivalent. And for me, that, you know, what I realized about financially on this one is all of my needs are met, and they always are. And there was a time in my life when I couldn't say that, so I've gotten to that place where my needs are always met. But if I want to have more than enough, I need to take another step to always have more than I need. And it's like that with my health as well. I'm in really good health, and there are ways that I would like to thrive more. You know, and so we can always grow with these things.
That is so true, because we're always expanding and we're always growing, and that's the beauty of this philosophy, is the openness at the top of it. And we were just talking about that today, about first class. We had this like idea, because we're like, why don't we ever fly first class? Why are we always flying economy? I'm going, because we don't have a first-class consciousness. But there was a time when I couldn't even afford to fly. I mean, I couldn't even, like, I was like, you know, and now I can pay for it in cash. So I'm like, okay, so I'm expanding. So now I want to expand again. That's what we're made to, like, to expand and create and new ideas.
Out of the hat. We were actually discussing it last night on the way to the Healing Circle. And here's the deal about mental equivalent. She said that, well, how come about this whole first-class thing? And then I had to look at it, you know, take a good look at yourself, and I went, oh, wow. Wow. But then, instead of going, oh, wow, loser, you know, what I got into was, I told Rita, I said, that really excites me. And I'm thinking, because that means that I get to lift my mental equivalent to another level. If that means a lot to me, it doesn't always mean a lot to me. I mean, first class, we're just using it as an example. But I thought, how great, because now it's just like the house, the cars, the whatever. If you lift yourself, you know, or just going, I'm just satisfied, that's good, I can fly, you know, and I am. But then you raise it like every time, because the universe demands that we create, because that's all it is a creative force, or we'd still be pre-Big Bang.
Any other ahas on this?
I have one more during the healing circle, recognizing that those things that would keep me from any of these areas that I observed, I had to root them out. I needed to see them, but then also I needed to love them as they were leaving. You know, it's like, oh, I see what you were doing because you were one of my protectors. You were protecting me from something, the defense mechanism, but I can't afford you any longer. You know, and thank you for what you've done, but really I need to go on.
That's beautiful.
That's the inner child work, right? Is you go in and you allow that inner child to
It's
come up
loving
and do-
parts of yourself that
And-
are no
and-
longer serving you,
and-
what they
and-
did at a time.
And if you just be honest and take responsibility, the only reason I don't fly first class is because I don't think I can. And then the second reason is because I'm not sure I deserve to fly first class. You know, have I worked hard enough this year? Have I put enough in? Is that savings going to, we were saying that if we take that and we flew first class, what happens if we don't have rent in 2 months? I mean, how's that working? Do you see that's the play, that's what we're talking, the mental talk, instead of saying, oh, I'm unlimited. It doesn't matter, do you really want to, and guess what my thing about the flying first class, I said, okay, well, we're leaving at 10 o'clock at night, do they still serve food and drink? I mean, because, and then I said, man, if I'm going to be paying another ground, I'm going to sleep through my first class. I want to be up and at it, and I'll have another glass of champagne. So isn't that funny? I went there instead of the other.
But I am with Diane because I am taking care of myself now, and there were times when I didn't take care of myself, but I want more, and that's okay. Yeah. More. Anything else on these? No? Anybody? Yeah.
Go.
Just a quick thing about an aha about creatively, without a second in between, I wrote "The Sky's the Limit," and that is really cool to see that. That creatively, I think the sky's the limit. That's a huge breakthrough for me.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then we talked about, do they match what you want and desire? So we kind of played a little bit with that. Do they match with what you desire? There's a big difference, and we want to talk about that. There's a big difference about your mental equivalent, what you're actually equal to in this moment, and then what you want and desire. Because we sometimes really want and desire. I mean, we may want and desire first class or not. But is it matching where you are now? Does this match what you want and desire?
That's the question, because they're two different things. We say we want things, but are we equal to them mentally?
I don't know.
I don't know.
As there's crickets
It's just
go
a
through the
question
room.
to ask yourself. No, it's just it's a question because there is a difference. I really got that aha that what we want and we desire, we have to bring those both together.
Yeah, it's like somebody says, I really want this, and then you believe it. I mean, a good example is, yes, I do want this. Very much my perfect relationship. And I believe it. So then we still ask the question, well, then why hasn't it manifested? And that's where you're going, but not like, what am I doing wrong? You're like, I guess we need to dig up a few more belief systems that are keeping me from it, because that's the only thing that's keeping us from it. And it gives me just, I'm just like goosebumps all over, because God bumps, because I'm thinking, that's the only thing that's standing in our way. And that's a great thing to me. That's a powerful thing. It just means I have to change my beliefs, and you have to keep working on it. So you had your hand.
One thing that has happened to me this year was when I was here in January, and I had a want and a desire to come here. But it wasn't until I looked in the mirror and said, yes, I can do it. And I didn't know how or what, or I didn't know, but I had to say yes to my own, make that mental equivalent happen for me with that.
It takes a decision.
During that time, it wasn't like, sometimes we think that we're going to, yes, I am going to move. I mean, we've all experienced, yes, I am. It doesn't mean that the cherubs come out and everything parts and people start playing. You know, then there's that like continuous, yes, yes, Yes. Oh, can I really? Oh, no. And then people are saying, the big one here, homes are really hard to procure. That's the big message here, that we just had somebody call and want that, and he's buying the message before he got here. His equivalent is like, I already know the things, it's very hard to get a house on Kauai. I already know that. And so I'm going, oh, and so it is. No, no.
That's how the mental equivalents get built. And so this is kind of more rhetorical, but that you're going to pick one area that you want to work on, and you might not get it all done tonight, obviously, but it'll be something that you want to work on, because the whole point of this is to prove it. The whole point of this is that it's science. We get to prove it. And what you have to believe to be the mirror image of your desire. So that you sound like you're already doing it, Deborah.
Did you guys get down to that number when you were? Yeah, you did. So when we say, what do you have to believe to, I mean, we may not even know that. Sue had to believe. What did you have to believe in order to create you moving for 6 months to Kauai? Well, yeah, what did you have to change? You obviously at first said, oh my God, I can't do that. You know, I mean, or I could, maybe. What belief did you change in order to mirror you being here right now in this?
I had to believe that my intuition was leading me correctly.
Right.
I had to believe that this was the right step for me.
Without all the hows and everything in the way that we would like to have done before we actually manifest.
And what's been really interesting to me is that my income, it changed a little bit because I have some rent coming, but I'm still subsidizing my house in California. So actually, my expenses have gone up lots. I can't think of the word I want. But I still have money left over every month.
Yeah.
How's that happening? I have no clue. But when I finally said, this is what I believe is the right thing for me, and I've always liked that first-class mentality. And when am I going to say yes to that?
Right, and I always tell Rita when she travels and we don't, first-class mentality, to me, why I got excited about it, does it really have to do with flying in a plane? Yes, the material. But I'm talking about my first-class consciousness, my attitude that wherever, I always tell Rita, especially if she's visiting family, I said, please go back with the first-class consciousness. Because that means that everywhere you walk, it's first class.
I shifted so much in that area, because I was the one that always slept on the floor, you know, like, give me a mattress on the floor. And that was the way I did my trips. And now, I slept in someone's hotel room on the floor. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I was like done with it. I'm 65 years old and I'm done with it. I want my own room. I want a bed to sleep on.
She dug up a belief that told her.
I was like, I don't deserve that anymore.
She told me. She said, I said, you're going to your family. She goes, I'd like to get a hotel. I said, let's get the hotel.
And it was there, and the money was there. It just was, because I accepted it. I think we have to accept it, you know, too.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
So what are you willing to let go of in order for more room in your consciousnness for the new belief to take
there
hold?
is going to be something you have to let go of.
What would that be? Let me just give any example. Yes, sure.
I'd have to let go of things that I have to do this myself. So that's a big one.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, that's the whole thing in this philosophy. We say we don't do it by ourselves, right? Because there's a power greater and bigger that's out there creating cosmos that will assist us. And then how they do that is they work through people helping one another and doing that, yes.
Because once we make the decision, all the support comes in. All of a sudden. Yeah.
I just saw it in this discussion, the letting go of my belief that I'm so picky, it takes time to manifest the man that I want, because I have all of these criteria, and so the belief is it takes time to manifest, and it takes time for the universe to line it all up. So I can actually give up that
belief.
So what you're really saying is micromanaging the universe.
Yeah, but Deb, it's so great because the clearer you are, the faster the universe works. That's the thing.
I think you.
The faster it works.
I was just reading yesterday, I was reading the mental equivalent chapter in the Science of Mind text, and Ernest Holmes talks about when we make it in the future, it's always going to happen in the future. It's always, if we say, I'm going to plant this seed tomorrow, the seed never gets planted and starts growing. And so we have to plant the seed today that's not something that will happen in the future, it's something that can happen now.
That's why we treat in the present tense.
And why the seed that contains everything that we need is already in the seed before it's even planted.
Yeah, if you had the faith of the grain of the mustard seed, you would be able to move mountains, however the quote goes, because everything is in the seed. The big bush is in the seed. Yes.
So here's back to good old Emmett, who's why do we demonstrate? Look how happy they all are demonstrating.
Why do we demonstrate? Why do we need to
keep talking
demonstrate?
about, especially in new thoughts, it's like
Makes us sound like a bunch of
demonstration, give me. But here's the deal. I love what he said. Now he doesn't care about hurting anybody's feelings because you have to prove the harmony of being in your own life. If there were no need to demonstrate, one might just as well go to bed and stay there. Or simply still, stroll around to the nearest undertaker. I just want you to know that I'm sure that was his humor. I'm positive that was his humor. But what I think it's really telling us is that, of course, we're a creative force. And I'd be guaranteed that when this gentleman arrives in Deb's life and we're all like at her wedding, and we're all like at a party, and we're all like going like this. We knew about you a long time before you ever even came. But what we would know is that once that's demonstrated, Deb's life's not over. It's not like, okay, number 4 got the 4th one of the table. Got that one down. Then it's going to be, and now I'm going to TED Talk and another thing, and you're going to go on and on and on. So we never stop creating, and that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, and go to the next slide. And this is what we were talking about before, because it's all matter and all spirit. There's not something that's matter and something that's spirit. It's the same thing. So the spiritual universe should no longer be divided against itself. This is Ernest Holmes. The Bhagavad Gita says that we shall never arrive at peace while we deal with the pair of opposites. Let us not say that $15 is material and the Lord's Prayer is spiritual. I think once we start really realize that, because sometimes, maybe not the people in this room, but we hold things back because we think there's a separation, and it's the same thing. It's spirit and matter is one thing. Cause and effect is one thing. And wanting to demonstrate and wanting to have these things and desiring to create is just glorifying that spirit, that power, that thing we call God. It's glorifying it. Right? I don't know. Disagree with me if you think.
That can sometimes confuse a lot of people, that it's divided, that this is spiritual. I'm having a spiritual time in my life, and then this is material. But I agree, once we end the division. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is where your little paper comes in, and then we'll take a break right after this, if we need one. We can actually just do what we usually do, is just go to the restroom when you need to go, but we don't want to miss a moment. Okay, ready? So, in regards to your own life, write down the first feelings and thoughts that come to you while you look at these pictures.
Be honest with yourself.
Be honest. I mean, not that you're going to lie to us. Okay, are we ready? Paper, pen, ready, and let's go. Had a picture of that.
I have a hard time.
Okay. We won't look at you. We won't look at you.
Life ever. Okay, go back. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And next. I like that sound that I just heard.